So I'm just a mile down. I'm still on the water. But it's like a real house. It's like 2 bedrooms.
So this is the one you rent and there's your studio.
And international shipping lane. So
you get a lot of traffic
on the horizon. You see all the boats going through the St. Lawrence Seaway for like 4 years. And all my Christmases, the kids, and the reason, what you were just talking about, you just open these up.
Wow. This just has, you come in and you just get this good feeling.
So this, once in a while, if I'm in the middle of a body of work, I'll want to like break and go to the comfort zone, like the bed that's comfortable, your favorite socks. I'll go back to figurative work. It just sort of centers me while I'm maybe starting on a new body of work. So this group of work here is inspired by these lighting diagrams. And before I had them actually printed, I'm drawing them on the paper. So this is a diagram of the lighting fixture. You can see there's a diagram up here. And so I love the contrast between the very crisp, detailed line and the more raw line. Conceptually, these are a body of work about being home, because I'm so happy out here. Again, this was specifically about the water. This is more about the land. This is about the water and Lake Ontario and freshwater. The space is so small, and then these are my big panels are on wheels, so those can be moved around.
Sorry.
And this is nice because it's just I'm not like washing a palette or anything. This is freezer paper. Like I just pull it up and throw it out. I don't want to know anything.
Yeah.
The hardware store brushes,
the cheap basting
throwaway
brushes.
Yeah, and paper plates, and
totally.
On a really good day, I'll put them in some turf.
Your larger studio space to this format, this particular format, it's a very idiosyncratic format. And what made you choose this? And then maybe talk about how that affected your work. And
it's all so related and so serendipity. It wasn't. I loved living in the city. I lived on Little Summer in Richmond. Loved it. Had a studio at Tri-Main in a wonderful building, an industrial type building converted, 3,000 square feet. I moved out here. I spent one night listening to the water and the view. And it was like, this is a life, this is a moment. It was just brought to me. It wasn't planned, but I was open to the opportunity, and that is what I do. It's like, oh yeah, okay. I put my house on the market, it sold in 6 days, moved out here, raised it, winterized it, and was happy. Then I discovered, now it's an hour and a half to my studio, right? But I didn't mind that. I don't mind the ride. I like to listen to music, books. It wasn't a big deal. But then all of a sudden, I thought of it one day, and you're in very deep Amish country here, and so I went to the Amish, and I said, how about we build me a building, an Amish building on the back of this property, and I'll move my studio. And then it just didn't feel quite right. And then I thought, why am I not just building a yurt?
That when you transition into this, it's almost expected, right? In the expressionist work, or even in generally artist works, something has to be said bombastically or whatever, and there is always, I think, in the back of the fear, of artists' minds maybe, is that if your life suddenly becomes idyllic and quiet, you're not going to produce any work anymore because there's no angst.
There's not enough conflict.
I'm thinking about this a lot. You are so right. you've hit it, because this is all about being home, and
Right.
I was, like, what do I have to say now?
If I could just interject here, though,
Yeah.
I still see, and what's always attracted me to your work is a boldness of mark, a confidence of mark,
Yeah.
the layering of textures. I still see that in all of these.
You do.
Even so, even though the subject matter has changed to maybe a less turbulent internal experience, there's still that mark of, we say, the expressionist mark, the confident mark, the bold mark.
Being
that
okay with
really
a
is
simple
attractive,
line, right?
both to experience and to kind of suss out the textures that you have going on in these pieces.
It's very,
This one.
it's like, it's a cow, a horse, and again, to me, always has been the line, and I've said this before, and you know this, it's like having a conversation. When you want, this is maybe more of a quiet conversation, but if I want you to really look, that's when I put text in, and I want you to stop for a minute, and I want you to see something clearly. There's stuff, a lot of subtraction goes on in my work. This one doesn't have a lot, which is interesting, and it was one of those pieces that you do in 2 minutes, and it's done, and you walk away and you know it's done. There are other pieces that you struggle with. I didn't struggle with this one, but others that you struggle with, and you walk away and you think, okay, I like that piece.
Yeah.
And you come back the next day, and you're like,
Okay.
that's crap.
Like,
Like, what was I thinking?
No, I've been down that path a lot.
Why did I think that was good?
So, do you tend to work on a number of things at the same time, or do you work on one thing till you
No,
feel like
lots
it's
at a time.
lots at a time? Okay,
Mhm.
I share that method because I often get stuck on one piece and then I go to another, and that something in that piece resolves what's going on there. Does that happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also like to vary the size of things so that I could be working on, I don't work real small often, but I do work small. And then I'll do something really large. That's why with these panels it's nice, because I'll do my large things maybe on one side and the paper will be over here. I found that varying the size helps as well. Lots of things going on at once, and they've been they've popped up in different works, but they've never become a body of work, as I've said to you before. When you're so obsessed with the thought and it just won't leave you. This has been with me for years. And finally I'm taking it to another level, but I'm struggling with it as well because it's high contrast. But I'm really excited to get going on it. And but it's interesting. The digital component is what I like that. I like the contrast between the two.
Do you have a ritual when you come into this space? How does it make you feel like when you come from the house to this space, and then what do you do to sort of get yourself working?
Itself has a huge emotional impact because this space is so nurturing. Unlike other studios that I've had, the circle, the round, the light filtering down. There's no technology.
Oculus.
There's no electricity. It's just the pureness of it. So immediately the first response is, oh yeah. And then I sit in my lounge chair and I have to I pick up a book and I have to sort of start morphing.
Transition.
A transition, listen, all the senses start to play. Like I'll listen, feel the air, the whole bit. Very much like to burn incense maybe, so there's a smell. I have to have my coffee or water. So
I was going to ask.
Okay. Coffee or water. But definitely a morning person. I don't work at night because people will say, "Well, you can't work at night. Well, no, but that's not when I create."
Right.
And then I have to have. I can't just have music playing. It has to be headphones in my ear, not the.
Really, that's interesting.
It's a really big thing.
He does that too.
I do that too. Yeah, it cuts out the world.
I bring my dog, which is really a big deal.
What kind of dog do you have?
English Bulldog. Old English Bulldog.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
little taller, and her name is Barbara. Usually up at 6 a.m., but I'm not moving intentionally. You know, if I come over here, it's about 9.
Okay. The common experience these days is the adversity of the art world and how hard it is to actually get to this place where you have all sorts of conflicting obligations in life and various travails to get to the place of making. How has your journey been one where you've really had to fight in life to do the art, or has it come through adversity, or has it come easy, or how has your
I had to fight every minute, and right now, my kids are all grown, and last week on my calendar I had every day marked off to be here. I didn't get here one day.
Okay.
Because life interfered.
Right.
And it was okay. Having said that, I had my best year last year. The Hallwell show. I had a bunch
Indigo.
of thank you, Roswell Park. They bought a ton.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
like
nice.
a ton.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
can we body you right now?
No.
I'm gonna get off my chair now because we have a
What's it like to
little
make
altar
money?
over here.
It was a complete circle. I felt creative. I felt rewarded. It was. I had solos. It was great. So that is giving me a little more freedom. I always say you should have 2 bodies of work in the studio, 2 to 3 ready to go in case someone calls you.
I have to bow again.
But that weighs heavy on me, and it's not going to ever change. And I'm 64 years old and been doing art my whole life. Whether I had a full-time job, a full-time mom, 4 kids, single mom, retired, whatever, the struggle's the same.
Yeah.
The reasons might be different, but the struggles are the same. It's been very hard and very mindful, and now when I come here, all my music is on my phone, and I have to make sure I have Do Not Disturb on,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, I agree.
because otherwise I'm distracted.
Yeah. I get
How about
texts
your
from
family and
folks.
upbringing? Did you have artists in the family, or
I
were you?
did. I was really lucky.
Okay. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was really lucky. I had a grandmother who I named after, Dorothy Pendennis.
Okay.
I'm Dorothy Pendennis. And she was an artist like none other. She was also a national pistol champion. She was
I
Not
like this
something you
woman already.
typically come.
She taught me how to shoot. I'm good.
Oh,
And so she really was amazing. And she was a sculptor. She taught me how to paint in her backyard.
Wow.
And the memories are strong. She had 13 grandchildren, 10 are artists.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Now, they might not be practicing artists and making
Yeah.
a living, but there are 10 of us that paint, create, and art is a significant part of our life. So I had a
Yeah.
very strong, but here's the conflict, and I'll bring this in. I grew up with an Irish family, and I had 3 brothers, and we were not. And this is a fact. I'm speaking from my own experience. I went to public school. My brothers went to private school. I went to upstate. They went to fancy schools.
Yeah.
It wasn't given the same. Our expectations weren't the same. I could be a teacher. And my father's an Irish. You could be a teacher or a nurse. Those are your choices.
Oh, right.
Okay. So as a woman, not only is the art world harder to survive in, I had it from a family background. So the influences were there, but in the art world, it was still a struggle. But we're all in our family, we're all very creative.
We always wonder, what would the flip side be if we came from an art family and that was
Yeah.
nurturing and supportive?
Well,
exactly.
okay,
If that
I
was your
came from a
experience.
grandmother who was nurturing, and she taught me how to paint. The rest of the family, 3 brothers in the
Yeah.
business world,
Right.
were like, so my other work, my figurative work, they're like, oh, I can't. So the show last year at Indigo with the fish, oh, we like this.
Yes.
Because they're fish.
Right.
Something
they
So
can
that they
easily
could, it was more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to understand me, they don't,
They don't
Get
have the
me?
language. Yeah.
they don't.
Fish, you can understand
Yeah.
fish, right? I did the same transition with
Yeah.
my family. My work was difficult for a very, God, like, how many years? 20 years or something like that. It was very, very visually difficult to look at.
Right.
And my family was very supportive, but they totally didn't get it.
Right.
When I started switching over to doing more paintings, and then when I found the new track that I'm working down now, which is automotive,
Yeah.
suddenly I have this large audience.
Right.
People get motors. People understand automobiles. They understand this sort of thing. So even if they don't understand maybe the high concepts that are behind
Right.
the work,
Right.
they feel engaged.
Yeah.
Right? They have a way
It's
of doing it.
accessible.
Yeah.
Well, this
And-
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You should
No,
answer.
that's it. I'm just saying that becomes part of it as well. The
Right.
struggle of, I said this to George a couple of, if someone says, "Oh, I really like that," okay, well, that's life isn't going to last long. Now it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's gone, and that's not good because you know what? It's okay if I made it like that. Like, why do I feel that?
Yeah.
Why can't I just let it exist because I did it?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Do you consider viewer response as part of the success of the work, or does the work the work is successful whether the viewer likes it or not? Doesn't matter.
Once it's done,
Mhm.
I'm done with it.
Okay. So when you talk about, say for example, this series here, dealing with the fresh water and the environment and the creatures that are kind of tangential to that or whatever, is it important that the viewer gets that information, or
No.
is the visual experience enough?
If I want you to
for-
get it,
Mhm.
I'm going to put the word right
Okay.
here.
Gotcha.
Home.
Got it.
I want you to think about your home.
Mhm.
And if I don't, no. Let me backtrack a little bit on that. There are three things that I think about in a painting. There's the factual. These are black lines, light, oil, pencil, graphite on paper. Then if someone asks me a little something about it, there's a general response that I could say, well, this is about my home right now, and I'm feeling really good there, and I'm surrounded by things that are making me comfortable, which is Barbara, my old English bulldog. And then there's the secrets.
Yeah.
And there's code.
Right.
And I'm not telling anyone.
Right.
Right.
So there usually are those three levels. But if someone asks me, I'll explain, but otherwise I really don't care if they don't get
Well,
it.
this is the thing, going back to your fish and that conversation, because I've done my share of work that, like, suddenly people get it and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Is because I think when somebody sees the fish, my reaction to something like that kind of comment is like, they've stopped. They saw the fish, they like the fish, they've stopped. They're not looking deeper into it. They're not doing the
Yeah, but that's not for you to control.
I want to. For me, I react to the response. When it goes out into the public, I make my work for myself, right? It's just, that's solely my guide, is my thing. But when I put it out into the world, I listen to the response. I check out the response, and often it's not anywhere near what I was thinking because people are bringing their own baggage into the conversation, right? All that. But then I do listen to it, and I do make modifications, not so much for appeasement or anything like that, but they've touched on notes that I hadn't thought about before.
Well, that's valid.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Well, I just want to know, how do you approach that? How does that work for you?
I'm not going to lie. I want people to like my work. Okay? I mean, I like positive feedback. I want to know someone's seeing a powerful line or they're getting an emotional response. I mean, that makes me feel good. To me, that's getting my work.
Right.
And if you don't like it, you're getting it as well.
Yeah, I always think Yeah, the worst thing that can happen is if someone ignores your work. I always think that. They can hate it and want to tear it off the wall and
agree.
slap
I would
it on
love
the ground.
that.
That would be fine with me.
Intuitive, some people just can't let things go.
Well, that's true.
I think
too,
that's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
so possibly, but some people just want to hold on to their work. Once it's done, it's
Mhm.
Well, see, the way I look at, and this might be my interpretation of expressionist paintings, but it is the act of doing
Right.
on the canvas. And once it's done, you can look at it and say, yeah, that's a really good piece. And I would imagine most expressionists kind of go, yeah, they don't dwell on it afterwards, right? It's
I have
kind of-
2 paintings I'll never sell. The rest is all for sale.
What are the 2 you don't sell?
One is over at the Mystery House, the other house.
Ah.
and actually one is of one of my children. It's a
Okay.
painting I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a question because I'm an art geek and you're an art geek.
Mhm.
We always talk about our influences, and I know we look at a lot of people, but is there
Yeah.
1 or 2 significant artists who've changed your career in some significant way? And also, who do you look at today? Who in the contemporary scene today are you interested in?
I always go back to the German expressionists.
Okay.
It's just I look at everything today. I get magazines and publications from around the world, particularly the Irish, even though they're very different from what I do. But I really love Cy.
Twombly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love going back to his work.
Mm-hmm.
I might pronounce this right, Tapias? T-A-P-A. I love,
George.
yeah,
Yeah.
love his work for the purity of it.
There's a materiality too. with
Yeah.
his work, too.
And he's okay with just letting it be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those 2, in fact, Sally's over there.
Mhm.
Those are, that group, I can't get enough of. I think there's a couple books right over here, still sitting out here, that I just always go back to them.
Mhm.
My studio space is what I love. It might be my Mary's. It could be nature. I have some twigs and different things that I've cut, because if I'm doing a piece and I get stuck and I can't think it through, like I see a bowl of Pez candies over there, or a bunch of circles hanging down. These are here intentionally. These are my inspirations. If I turn, the art world is inspirational, of course. Cy gives me confidence to let the line just be the line.
Mhm.
If I find myself overthinking, overworking,
Mhm.
I'll go to those group of artists that have the confidence to let it be.
Mhm.
Then I'll turn and look at my immediate environment.
Mhm.
If, for example, if I'm hungry and I get some peanut butter and there's Peter Pan on the jar, that's inspirational because it's
Yes.
solving compositionally this painting
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I get that.
So these things, these books, these little bricky-bracky things, that I'll turn and it will end up in one of my paintings.
How did that come about? I guess is the question. This, because I see it in your drawings in particular, right?
Yeah.
You've got this very modernist shapes, the modernist light fixtures you're picking as your sources. They're very Calder-esque. They're
Yeah.
all these sort of different things. So they're these forms, just solid forms, and then this organicness.
Well, okay, so I was raised, and so I'm this artist, this free spirit, open-minded, free thinker,
Yeah.
and I'm very much a business person.
Okay.
This is going to answer your question.
Yeah.
So I list my house on Airbnb. This is the reality.
Okay.
It's going to answer though. It is just who I am. It tapped into all of what I can be. A businesswoman, renter, I welcome people into my home. I have cookies for them. And they walk in and see the pink fridge.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I just know that is a business successful, and it does come into my art, it is just who I am.
Yeah.
It's inherent within me, and it just comes out in my work, and it's coming out in this endeavor. And I think that I am, if I'm good at anything, it's seeing an opportunity and taking it and doing it, and seeing the door open and going through the door.
Right.
I think that's important in life, is to, maybe I act real fast, and I do. I move quickly, I act fast, I paint fast, I work fast, and I have no regrets. At some point, it is just who you are. And that summarizes it really well. That brings us, it's like a full circle. I was very happy in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I had no expectation. And one night on the couch by the water, and it was like, okay, I'm making a change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It spoke to me. It was genuine. And everyone said, "You're moving to where?" Well, Yates. Lindenville? Okay, Medina? And yeah, people were really, how can you as an artist take your career out there?
Right. It seems counterintuitive.
It does
but-
seem counterintuitive.
but not so.
It's not so.
When I look at somebody like one of my art heroes is Lee Bontecu,
Mhm.
and she was huge in the art world, especially in the New York gallery scene, and removed herself. And now the work she's doing is stunning. It's spectacular, and
Yeah.
she's out in the middle of nowhere. But
Well, it's,
And
Again,
there's
she's got her
quite a
place,
few
right?
people that, Virginia Woolf, let's
Mhm,
just talk
mhm,
about a room of your own.
Mhm.
It's true. It
Mhm.
seems like we should be past that, but we really need a room of our own.
Yes,
She was
yes.
talking about the female specifically,
no.
but
Yeah.
you do, and it doesn't need to be. I just came back and I looked at Beatrix Potter's studio, Virginia Woolf, Jane Austen's art studios, and writing studios, and they were all way out in the country and alone. And the difference is they had patrons or people that were promoting them.
Sure. Yep.
But with social media and technology the way it is, we can do that
Right,
ourselves.
right. I wanted to ask you about your plans for this year. Last year was very active. You had 2 solo shows,
Yeah.
and then part of the Amid-In.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on the scope this year, or are you working to sort of just working interim between shows now, or what?
No, I'm really trying to do this as a no-show year.
Mhm.
I would like to take one whole year.
It's a dream in a way.
Yeah.
It really
It's
is.
a dream. And the hard part is to allow yourself that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For me, the hard part is to allow myself. I certainly have people that call and say we need work for a group show or something. So I know that that's going to continue to exist. But I want to allow my goal now is to allow myself to be okay with work that isn't socially or politically yelling, and to let my work speak, and to have myself be okay with it. And that's what I want to do for this next year.
I got a question to kind of connect that. So when you start a new painting or something like that, how much do you already know?
Nothing.
Nothing. So
I start with color.
Okay.
So the back was this sort of fleshy, and there's a couple ready to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll walk in, and whatever surfaces up in me, whatever, it could be the food I ate before I came,
Yeah.
it could be a bird I see, I could turn and say, oh, that bush out there.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm a hard rock girl, so I'll put that on and start.
Who's this? Who? In,
Yeah.
You know, I'm
like Metallica? Are you Metallica?
No,
or what?
no, I mean,
That is a tricky.
I like the guys, I like Jimi Hendrix,
Okay.
I like,
hard rockers.
yeah.
Yeah, the guys who like
That was the 70s, 80s, 70s really.
Why you do one or the other?
I always worked on canvas.
Okay.
And I started by stretching my own canvas, especially because my canvases were so big.
Mhm.
And then I got to ordering the canvases, a special place I ordered, and then they went out of business. Now I work on this wood panel, and it is my preference. And now, if I were to have a choice, it would be panels. And being that I'm in Amish country, that makes it really good because they can build them any size.
Wonderful.
But I beat up canvas, and
That's
so
what I was going to say. Wood has a give back, but canvas won't.
canvas just starts to sag, and
Right.
Oh, nice.
you know. So these are really nice and ordered. These I ordered from a place in California, but the Amish are going to build them. But I like this because it holds true. There's no change in shape. Yeah. Oh, here's one that was a takeoff that was over at Buffalo. See it from the lighting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cool.
A little dusty, but this is, you know, obviously it would be turned around.
Your day at show was beautiful. It was very nice. That was my introduction to your work.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, when Shirley took me on a tour of the place and she showed me your work. Who's a painter was like, this is someone who really knows what she's doing. You could tell.
Wow.
There's it was
Wow.
it was like you could tell this was a matured,
Mm.
you know, very practiced, very honed, and yet spontaneous sort of body of work. I mean, yeah. If I
His mom is.
Oh, look at the bird's nest above the light fixture. Is that a bird's nest?
It's wasp.
That's it's a wasp.
Oh, that's totally a wasp.
Oh, it looks like a bird's nest.
No, that's a mud
I
wasp.
That's
Well, I
my
see.
mom.
I see.
It looks
Okay.
like it's dead and gone, though.
Yeah, it
because the
does. It
upper
looks
half is
old.
gone.
Oh yeah.
And we should be seeing bugs coming out of it right now.
Well, we do hear a lot of wasps.
Do you?
Our home.